What is up, everyone? Welcome to another Raspberry Chess video. Today is our second installment in the series of the 2016 Sinquefield Cup. Now, before I continue, make sure you press that little subscribe button right over there so that you get up-to-date instant access to all my latest content. And you can get notifications and all that good stuff too, so you don't miss anything. Alright, so make sure you do that. So, anyway, today's game is going to be between Wesley So, who ended up winning the tournament, and Veselin Topalov. Now, this is one of the more, I guess you could say, important games in the tournament. This was 4 rounds remaining, at least when this one was started. And Veselin Topalov was the leader by half a point over Wesley So and a few others. And with this win, Wesley was able to go on and draw the last 3 rounds and was able to win the tournament. So you could say this is the pivotal point in the whole tournament for this man, Wesley So. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. Wesley with the white pieces. Wesley played the move c4, e5, so we got a standard English g3, knight f6, bishop g2, d5. C takes d5, knight takes d5. Now if you notice, all of a sudden we have kind of like a reversed open Sicilian, knight c3, knight b6, knight to f3, knight c6 castles, bishop b7, d3. This is all common theory. If you don't know it, this video isn't for opening theory. You can check out a whole bunch of different, I guess, just databases, and they'll have a theory list if you want to memorize that. We're not going to cover opening theory in depth here. e3, a3, bishop to e6, bishop to e3. Now this is actually where the opening theory begins to kind of fade away. The move b4 was actually a little bit more popular. It was played about 100 something times, am I right? Let me check. Yeah, about 140 times, while bishop b3 was only played a mere 15 times. Bishop b3, knight to d5, attacking that bishop. Knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, queen a4. Now queen a4 is basically just trying to develop the queen, placing her on a nice square. The queen would really like to go to the square b3, queen b3, because it attacks the b7 pawn. You'll see this battle going on throughout a good bit of the game. The queen trying to get to the a2, f7 or g8 diagonal. However, at this point it's a little bit dangerous because there is a bishop on b5 that might go to b3. So queen a4, rook e8, just developing rook ac1, a6, knight to d2. Now this starts a little series of moves where black decides that his goal is to get a knight, or sorry, white's goal is to get a knight against a bishop and to try to control the light squares. He's going to try to trade off the light square bishops, as happened here, basically forced at this point. If you move away, the c6 knight's going to hang. And then play the move knight to d4. That's what black chose. Attacking e2 is kind of forced at this point. Play bishop takes e3. And now you see what I was talking about, knight versus bishop. And this is always a very exciting imbalance to play with. One side has total control of the dark squares, and one side has total control of the light squares to some extent. Not as dominant, not as boring, I guess you could say, as the bishop's opposite color, because the knight can sort of control the dark squares, and it doesn't have complete control of the light squares. But this is a great imbalance to watch and to see how white is going to try to take advantage of the light square weaknesses, while black is going to try to look at his dark square weaknesses. So, with that being said, finally white was able to start taking over those light squares and played the move queen b3, eyeing the b7 pawn over here and the f7 pawn. So rook b8 was played, and then e4. And e4 is actually a good move. It's one of the computer's top choices, and the reason why you may wonder about this move, especially after d takes e3. If you don't play d takes e3 after f4, your center is just going to be totally dominant. But after this move, d takes e3, f takes e3, it is a little bit interesting, the position. It's not totally clear cut as to the fact that white is just way better, but he's got 2 pawns in the center, and you could say the 2 floating or 2 isolated connected pawns. Just lost the term there, a double hanging pawn position. It's not completely evident as to whether or not white is going to get a very good position here, but he's going to be able to have a lot better control of the center and control of the critical light squares. And so this is the type of exciting chess that we do like to see. It's not attacking chess. It's not all-out blitzkrieg like you might have seen in the last game that that Anish was forced to play. But here it's more of a positional dynamic, and so this is kind of cool, and we'll see how it plays out. Of course, the f-pawn can't move, so rook to f8 is forced after the rook and the queen were attacking it. Knight e4, knight can't really be kicked out at this point. So this is what Mr. So was playing for. Queen to d7, rook to f3, controlling maybe the e3 point a little bit more, but also preparing to double. f7 point is weak. Rook bd8, attacking b3, d4. Now you can see kind of the point. The pawns look fairly solid. The knight covers e3 a little bit. The rook is covering e3. This position is quite interesting, and I like this type of play from white. However, on the black side, things are perfectly fine. He's got a very solid bishop, just a completely solid pawn chain, and he will be able to probably uncoil very quickly. So after the move d4, I played the move c6, and this we're going to start to see the beginning of the breakdown of Black's game. So as I just said, Black has a very solid position. His pawn structure is very good. But with this move c6, which is not a mistake by any means at all, these three queenside pawns are going to start to become a little bit weaker, and this is something that you're going to need to keep in mind as we play through this game. Eventually, the b7 pawn is going to move to b6, it's going to become weak, it's already weak on b7, and then eventually that's going to make the c6 pawn weak. You'll see how this all snowballs later on. We'll talk about that when we get there. Rook c to f1, queen d5, queen c2. Now this is kind of interesting. Wesley was talking after the game. He had I guess a post-game interview, and he said he was actually trying to trade queens off most of the time. For some reason, he chose not to do that here. For some reason, I think he was thinking he was slightly worse or something. I think this was probably the point where he should have traded queens. It was after this point when he started realizing he might have been slightly worse. And according to the engines, it's even, but if anyone has a slight advantage, it would be Black. Black is still very solid, as I've said. He's still got the bishop with, that can is slightly better, I guess, when with play on both sides of the board. And so, probably, looking back on it, Wesley would have been content just to play queen takes queen and allow a drawish type position to occur. However, interestingly, Veselin was the guy who, he was in the lead, but he kind of was trying to play for a win, which is a little interesting. While Wesley, the guy who was like half point behind, you might think he was trying to play for the win. He wasn't. In fact, he was just trying to play for more of a draw. But this is probably where he's going to look back and say, maybe I should have thought about trading queens here, because now my position is going to become a little dicey. And you'll see later on why I said that. So g6, possibly preparing to move f5, now that the queen's not on the a2, g8. Now g4. And this is not a bad move at all. It's kind of making f5 maybe a little bit less tempting. And but it's, again, a little bit more of a weakness here that you're going to have to worry about. So White's position, it's very fun to play, but it's also a little bit dangerous, so keep that in mind. Now, if Black had chosen to play f5 here, which he did not, in case you're wondering about this move, after knight c3, queen e6, g takes f5, g takes f5, the real question is, like, whose king is more open? And I don't really think this is a big deal for either player. I think this position is probably okay for both sides. Black has slightly weak f5 pawn and some slightly weaker queenside pawns, especially if the queen is forced to kind of move over to the king side. While White, of course, still has the weak kingside pawns, the center pawns, my bad. So this is kind of an interesting idea. Veselin decided not to go for this. Instead, he chose to move rook d e8, possibly aiming at e3 at some point. h3, bishop to d8, uncovering an attack on the knight on e4. Knight c3, queen e6. Now, the queen decided to go back to e6 instead of something like, say, d7, which would, again, allow this queen to go back to b3, attacking this f7 pawn again. So queen to e6. Knight to a4. And at this point, Veselin played the move b6, which is maybe unnecessary. You're going to start to see the slow decay of black's queenside pawns, and move b6 here I don't think was entirely necessary. Something along the lines of, I mean, the computer's given like literally almost every move in the book is perfectly fine, with b6 being the 6th best move in the position. They're saying f5 is possible here, with the knight, now sidelined on a4, as opposed to being closer to the center of the board with like knight c3 and e4. But, there's a lot of different plans here, but the idea of playing b6 is committal, and it's kind of dangerous, and you're going to see how the c6 pawn eventually might get hurt a little bit. So, with immediate rook c1, the c-pawn is actually undefendable. It's as simple as that. You can't defend it. However, there are some tactics in this position to try to save the pawn. Black played the good move c5. He takes c5, b5. Knight c3 with the point of now queen c6. Now queen c6 is pinning this rook on f3, so rook takes e3 is now a threat, and also queen takes c5. So everything is looking pretty good from the black side. Queen to d2, just a solid move. b4 would have also been very interesting. Just played in this immediate position here. Wait. My bad. No, this was the blunder. This was the blunder after rook takes e3. Computers are completely just giving black a 2-pawn advantage already. Rook cf1, bishop f6, attacking now the knight. Where's the knight going to go? Knight d1, and pawns are starting to fall. It's not so clear now how white's going to hold equality, and in fact he's not going to be able to do that. The bishop, of course, is not hanging in this position because the king is, or the rook is pinned to the king. So this is why the move queen d2 is the preferred option in this position. Rook e5, and this is probably the worst of all of Veselin's moves in the game. You're like, well, I'm a 500 rated player, man. I would definitely take that pawn on c5. I tell you, it is the best move in the position. Queen takes c5 is absolutely right. And it's actually not a point of like, well, this 2800 missed an obvious pawn. There is some complications in this position that Veselin was worried about that you did not see, and I did not see. There's some interesting ideas, like for instance, queen takes c5, knight d5, queen a7 is the only move for the queen. Say b3, bishop g5, attacking e3, then all of a sudden rook c7, and things are getting a little bit interesting. Queen a8, queen d4, and unless you missed this move rook c8, or unless you found the move rook c8, this position is looking a little bit risky for black. White's completely centralized. He's got a nice attack. But again, after the move rook c8, it's not so clear how this attack is going to continue. So it's all kind of bluff, all bark and no bite at this point. And this is actually what Topalov probably was missing. In fact, also he was thinking in this position he was slightly better, which maybe was true, maybe was not true. As I said, maybe White's weak pawns could hurt him later on, but Veselin was feeling like the move queen takes c5 maybe was a little bit too drawish, too easy for him. As I said, really the only guy who could win that position would be White. So it's understandable that we play rook e5, and it does not end up losing a pawn after the obvious b4. But now you've got this really solid idea of pushing this c-pawn up the board and making it very quickly. So after the move bishop g5, pinning that pawn and winning it, that's how you're able to win back the quick pawn. At this point, Veselin decided to play the move bishop takes. Bishop takes on e3, which is the definite game-losing blunder. He also had the possibility, he was thinking in this game that he wanted to play this move like rook to d8. He was thinking he was going to be okay at this point. He missed the cool move queen a2, attacking f7. And at this point, there's really not much you can do. You're just down a pawn really for nothing. He missed this. He missed this line, and this is in fact why, if he had seen the idea of queen a2, he would have probably opted for queen takes c5. So don't go hating on Veselin here, just for missing this idea. But he thought he thought maybe like, oops, he thought maybe he could get something, I don't know, maybe queen c2 or something, and have a decent position. Queen c2, actually the game is completely dead drawn according to the engines here, just completely dead, 0-0-0. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. Alright, so rook to d1 was played, and bishop takes e3, queen to d7, queen a8, knight d5, and now it's starting to become a little bit obvious now. Cool. Now you're hitting the bishop, you're preparing knight b6, c6, c7, c8 looks unstoppable. Bishop g5, c6, bishop h4, rook d2, stopping rook e2, rook e1, rook c2. Now the c-pawn is going to move, going to go home. After the move king g7, white played knight b6, making this look so easy, I tell you. It's not, but it makes it look so easy. So queen b8, and at this point, Veselin's thinking, okay, maybe I can make this knight back up, and then maybe be able to somehow stop the c-pawn from moving forward. However, the move queen d4 forced him into immediate resignation. So a pretty darn cool game, if you ask me. So I thought I learned quite a bit from this game. It was pretty cool. I hope you did as well. Make sure that you press that like button if you enjoyed today's content. Also, don't forget to press that subscribe button right over there. I'm just going to pop it back up again. Again, you get the latest content from me. You'll be able to get new instant notifications and all that cool stuff from me, so you won't miss any more of my upcoming videos. So again, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.